Hi, it's Leahz, and I have a couple of news pieces to share with you. First, you can see here on the screen, the question has been raised whether or not Putin has just threatened to go nuclear on ISIS. It states the Russian leader says new cruise missiles can be equipped with warheads, but he hopes they would never need them. So I'm going to share that with you. And then I have a couple of items to share with you about some prophecies that have been spoken. And I think we should pay attention to it, pray about it, and just kind of watch and see what happens. But back on this whole Putin ordeal, it says that he raised the prospect of launching nuclear missiles on ISIS. New submarine missiles can be equipped with devastating warheads. The Russian president said he hoped nuclear weapons would not be needed. The threat came as Moscow stepped up attacks on Syria rebels. The defense minister said submarines have launched missiles. They have been combined with the continued use of airstrikes. Okay, it says Vladimir Putin has warned that a new underwater missile system deployed by Russian submarines in the war against ISIS in Syria could be equipped with nuclear warheads. The Russian president said that although using nuclear warheads was a possibility, he hoped they would never be needed in the fight against terrorism. His warning came as Russia stepped up its barrage on Syrian rebels with its first submarine-launched cruise missile strikes combined with bombing raids from the air. Now you can see here, Russia has for the first time in the Syrian conflict used submarines, and that's what you're seeing here in this picture, in the Mediterranean Sea to launch cruise missile strikes on rebels. Some of the missiles launched by the Russians are believed to be able to travel up to 1,500 miles as the country targets rebels as well as ISIS militants in the ongoing civil war. Now, this article was put out on December the 10th. So it says, speaking on Russian television today, that would have been December the 10th, Putin claimed his military had struck 300 targets of different kinds in the past 3 days and helped Syrian special forces recover the black box of a Russian warplane downed by Turkey last month. President Putin said the cruise missiles launched from the submarine in the Caspian Sea could be equipped with nuclear warheads, but said he hoped they would never be needed in the fight against terrorism. Now here's a quote. With regard to strikes from a submarine, we certainly need to analyze everything that is happening on the battlefield, how the weapons work. Both the Calibra missiles and the KH-101 rockets are generally showing very good results. We now see that these are new, modern, and highly effective, high-precision weapons that can be equipped either with conventional or special nuclear warheads. Naturally, we do not need that in fighting terrorists, and I hope we will never need it. But overall, this speaks to our significant progress in terms of improving weaponry and equipment being supplied to the Russian Army and Navy. Now, I don't know if you're having the same thought I am, but they're writing about this being used on ISIS. What if this was used on the United States of America or Israel? Definitely something to consider. Now, here's an article that came out on December the 3rd by Michael Snyder. It says Islamic terrorists are not coming to America someday. Well, the truth is that they are already here, and I've told you that in my videos as well. There's tons of them here, and they are called sleeper cells. So what happens is when the call comes that it's time for them to wake up, all of them arise, and then they go to war and start conducting their terrorist activities in order to destroy a nation, that nation being the United States of America, because that's who we're talking about in this article here. It says random Islamic terror attacks are now going to be part of everyday life in America. Once upon a time, those of us that warned that Islamic terrorists were already in this country were branded alarmist, but not anymore. When Mohammed Youssef Abdulaziz gunned down 4 U.S. Marines at a Navy and Marine Reserve Center in Chattanooga, Tennessee earlier this year, that was just a very small preview of what is coming. On Wednesday, a married couple named Syed Farouk and Tashfeen Malik fired at least 65 shots at a holiday office party in San Bernardino, California. 14 people were killed and 21 were wounded. Later on, hundreds of shots were exchanged as police officers pursued the vehicle that Farouk and Malik were attempting to escape in. Fortunately, Farouk and Malik are no longer a threat to any of us, but there are thousands more radicals just like them that are already living in this country and that are ready to act at any time. And you know what? That is so true. There are literally thousands here in the United States of America right now waiting, watching, and waiting. On Thursday, many in the mainstream media were attempting to figure out what could have possibly motivated a married couple with a new baby to go on such a shooting spree, but it doesn't take a genius to figure it out. According to CBS News, Farouk and Malik have been watching ISIS propaganda online. In addition, NBC News is reporting that the pair had been in contact with jihadists both inside and outside the country, and here's what they had to say. It says, but authorities told NBC News on Thursday that Farouk appeared to have been radicalized. They said he had been in touch with people in the Los Angeles area who have expressed jihadist-oriented views. Intelligence sources told NBC News that Farouk appeared to have been in some form of communication with overseas individuals who are persons of interest to American authorities. It has also been reported that Farouk traveled to Saudi Arabia, the heart of radical Islam, 2 years ago, and it is believed that he met Malik while he was there. Now, he's got some excerpts about that. He also states it's a good thing that the authorities were able to deal with Farouk and Malik because they undoubtedly would have launched other attacks. According to the Los Angeles Times, police discovered quite an arsenal when they went to their home. Okay, so he has a few more excerpts there about this. He states that Islamic terror is not a threat that we need to be concerned about someday in the future. It is actually a clear and present threat that we must deal with right now. If not, the kinds of attacks that we have seen so far will just be the very small tip of a very large iceberg. But instead of acting responsibly, Barack Obama continues to leave our borders wide open, and he continues to push for even more refugees from Islamic nations. Now, do you guys see how this has worked over a period of years? Okay, first of all, they started introducing stuff through Common Core into the schools about Islam. Then the people who were taking a stand against this Islamic takeover in this nation were called radicals or alarmists. Then they made it to where nobody could say radical Islamist or jihadist or whatever. Okay, so they tried to put a lid on all that. Now it's happening and it's here before us, and they don't want us to say anything. We're all alarmist. But you can see how this is progressing in this nation, and this whole concept of that there are friendly Islamists and they're not. Sure, they seem friendly right now, but if they are a true Muslim, their Quran and their hadiths command them to kill people who are unbelievers, typically by beheading. And they are also told that it's okay to lie if it is for their faith. So keep those things in mind. So we have these things going on right now. This is a very real threat to us. Now we've got his latest article, posted December 8th. 79% of evangelicals believe violence across the Middle East is a sign that the end times are nearer. Is the return of Jesus Christ getting closer? According to a survey conducted by the Brookings Institute Center for Middle East Policy entitled American Attitudes Toward the Middle East and Israel, 79% of all evangelical Christians in America believe that the unfolding violence across the Middle East is a sign that the end times are nearer. In addition, the survey also discovered that evangelical Christians are also far more likely to be pro-Israel than the population as a whole, and most of them believe that Israel will control more territory than it currently possesses before Jesus comes back. Many secular Americans may find this strange, but evangelical Christians really do view everything that is going on in the Middle East through the lens of Bible prophecy. The vast majority of evangelicals truly believe that Jesus is actually coming back to our world, and most of them are fully convinced that Israel is going to play a leading role in the events of the last days. I'm certain that most of you listening to this video right now would agree. We watch Israel, we watch the Middle East, and those are the two main areas we watch in relation to Bible prophecy. And because of the things that are going on, many of us would say, or safely say, wow, these things are fulfilling Bible prophecy, and therefore, as a result, Jesus must be coming back soon, or we are living in the end times. Let's face it, if you want to know how close we are, just watch Israel, watch events in the Middle East. Now, there's a lot of other events that are going on that also tell us that we're living in the end times. The economy, the strange weather, the increase in earthquakes, the increase in prophecies that are being spoken across the nation. So there's a whole slew of different events that would tell us that we're definitely living in the end times. Just look around you at the overall attitude of people about sin, and about how everything that is evil is now accepted as good. And if you are a righteous person and you want to live righteously by the faith, and I'm speaking about the faith in Jesus Christ, you are looked down upon. You are called a radical. You are called uptight, judgmental, and everything else. So these are all things to look at and more. So there's a lot of events that are taking place that tell us that we are living in the end times. Okay, now he writes further, before I get to more of the survey results, I should disclose that I am pro-Israel, evangelical Christian who believes that the return of Jesus Christ will happen within my lifetime. So the survey was very interesting in finding out what people like me think. With that in mind, here are more of the findings with my comments in italics after each point. Okay, Benjamin Netanyahu, 16%. Believe he is the world leader that evangelicals admire most, followed by Ronald Reagan, 11%, and Barack Obama, 10%. Okay, now Michael writes, it should be no surprise that many evangelicals admire Benjamin Netanyahu more than any U.S. politician. But how did Barack Obama get 10%? Have 10% of all evangelical Christians in America gone completely insane? Good question. Have they? 39% of evangelicals say that Israel has too little influence on U.S. politics, while 23% say that Israel has too much influence on U.S. politics. Now, he writes more, and I will leave the link for you, but this certainly is something that's very interesting to look at to see what is the overall Christian attitude about the Middle East and about Israel and about these things that are taking place. Now, I also mentioned that I was going to share a few items of prophetic interest. I'm not a fan of Benny Hinn, but this is not a prophecy from Benny Hinn. Rather, it is a prophecy from Brian Carn. If you recall, just a few uploads ago on my YouTube channel, I shared within my video a message from Brian Carn. So this is something, given all the other news, that we should definitely look at and pray about. I don't know. It's not my prophecy. I have not been spoken to about anything like this in my heart. Like I said, I don't know. But I do know in my heart of hearts that things are going to happen soon. And when they do, it's going to be a horrible mess. So I do know that. I just don't know when, and I don't know exactly what, except for what the Bible tells us. So Brian Carn was on this miracle service of Benny Hinn's in New York at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. Here's what Brian Carn said. He says, the famine is coming, y'all. You may not believe it. Maybe you can't see it because we live in a country that has everything. We are greedy. We are wasteful. We can't imagine going to Walmart, going to the grocery store, and then not having anything because you have never been there. When you've never seen it, you can't recollect it, you can't comprehend it. But you have to catch this. With everything that's happening, we're getting ready to see a major collapse. I prophesied it, and I told the people things that were going to come. Then later on, he states, the Lord told me coming into the new year, mark my words. If you saw on my website, I prophesied and told you I saw Jihadi John getting killed before the year is out. It came to pass. The word of the Lord came to me. He said, going into the new year, a sudden terror is going to hit America where people are going to weep for days. But he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Okay, now you saw the news I shared with you about Russia. You saw the news I shared with you about the United States of America on Michael Snyder's website. Now, interestingly enough, the timing of his warning is going into the new year, but it does not identify the specific month. It does sound consistent with what the author says he heard regarding a 1-month delay in the coming economic collapse, which would mean by the end of January. See my previous post, drastic changes coming in January of 2016. His timing is also consistent with what Betty Stevens was told after the holidays, and with what Allie Winter saw, drastic changes coming in January 2016. In fact, I will go ahead and pull that article open and we'll take a look at that here in a second. Brian Carn's description as sudden terror is consistent with how I saw an economic collapse happening very suddenly. He also used the word terror, which might refer to a loss of finances, but could also mean a terrorist attack that deals a blow to our economy, similar to what happened on 9/11 of 2001. The good news is, while darkness is falling, the light of God is rising on his people. Those who are close to the Lord have nothing to fear, even when sudden terror comes upon the world. I love what he says right there, because that is so true. Those of us who are alive in Christ and hidden in Christ, well, we don't really have anything to fear. Those who do not know Christ, well, I'm just being honest. If you're listening to this video and you don't personally know Jesus Christ, you should be very concerned. And I can't help but mention those of us who do know the Lord but have loved ones that do not know the Lord. Well, we are, of course, concerned for them as well. Let's take a look at that article that was quoted in here. It's on the next page. Drastic changes coming in January of 2016. It starts out, the majestic character of a holy God rules the heavens and the earth. From sea to sea, none escape my power. Such darkness, yet I rule. At my command. Now notice that my and other words, I and so forth, well, I is always capitalized, but this is coming from God, okay? So this is supposed to be God speaking, okay? It says, such darkness, yet I rule. At my command, the waves crash and the thunder roars. At my command, nations rise and nations fall. I rule. And because I rule, I demand obedience from my creation. The winds and the waves obey my will, but man refuses to acknowledge my authority, my rule. Your refusal to obey has led to corrupt governments, powerful enemies, and weak, compromising Christianity in your nation and around the world. Beginning in January 2016, drastic changes come to the world. Those I sought to bless, now I will curse. A time of grave darkness and evil will fall upon the nations. Fear will grip hearts. Men's minds will be unable to discern the wickedness. Lives will be forever changed by what is coming. Hearts have grown cold. Idolatry has flourished, and souls slip daily into a hell created for Satan and his angels. Man-made evil coming upon the unsuspecting among you. Nations even now plan destruction and chaos against others. Watch China, Turkey, and Russia closely. Carefully in the weeks ahead. America is unprepared and will be dealt a mighty blow. Black lives matter. No, all lives matter. At least they matter to me. And then a verse is given. Matthew 4:4. But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. And then Mark 16:15 through 16. And he said to them, Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation. He who has believed and has been baptized shall be saved, but he who has disbelieved shall be condemned. There was a bunch of other articles of prophetic interest I had originally planned on sharing with you in this video, but I'm going to leave you with this, and I will share those in another video. Let us just be watchful and prayerful. This isn't my prophecy. It was not given to me, but I saw it, and it seems to flow with a lot of the other news that is coming out. We are the generation that will see the return of Jesus Christ. Please, as you go forward in your day, in your evening, in your week, and in your everyday from here on out, be blessed and do all things that would be pleasing unto God, our Heavenly Father. God bless you.